Hi, this is Austin with Brush for Hire, and today we're going to be lighting up Games Workshop's Fortress of Redemption with Powered Play Gaming's new light kits. In this episode, we'll be focusing on lighting up the Lascannon. For this technique, you're going to need, aside from the lights, the kit, and the normal tools like drills and pin vices, a small section, actually a couple of small sections, of fiber optic cable. This is going to help us transfer that light down the barrel of the Lascannon so that it looks like the light is emitting right near the end without having to actually run wires or any of the LEDs down the barrels of this Lascannon. It also allows us to take the light from one bulb and transfer it down two different shafts here. So we're going to drill out the barrels of these real quick. We don't want the holes to be any bigger than they have to accommodate the fiber optic cable. So we're just going to drill there. We're also going to drill through the bottom because we want all of the stuff to be housed in the base of this kit. So we've got that hole popped, and we're also going to drill a hole into the actual drum that this thing turns on. We turned it up so that essentially this hole and the hole we just drilled in the base will line up when we have it in the position that we want it to be in most of the time. We actually ended up expanding that last hole out to the entire panel that we drilled through just to make it easier for us to fish the cables through. And right now we're just sliding the fiber optic cables down the barrels and out the back end. And it takes a little bit of jiggery pokery to get the thing in place. So we're going to pull it back in just enough so that we can rotate the barrels down and pull it out through the hole in the bottom. Now, next, we've got to get these down through the base. We're going to do a quick test to make sure everything's lined up and firing correctly. You'd not want to wait until the very end, because if you get everything glued in place and it doesn't work, then that's going to be very difficult to correct. So now we've punched a hole there. We're going to drop a couple of drops of super glue down the barrels to hold the fiber optic cable in place. A little spritz of accelerator to speed up the drying process there. And you want the ends of those fiber optic cables to be just inside. You don't want them hanging out or anything. We'll clip off some of the excess fiber optic cable and sand those things flush. They don't have to be perfectly polished, just not craggy. There we go. But the more polished you do get them, the more light will be transferred. So we're going to test it out. Looks like we've got light going down both of them very nicely. So now our next goal is going to be to center the LED onto the fiber optic cables. And to help us do that, we're going to use some heat shrink tubing that is usually used for electrical work. We're going to get out a piece, the smallest piece that will still fit over the two fiber optic cables to sort of cinch them together. Now granted, you could use some electrical tape or some other type of tape for this process, or possibly even some zip ties, but I like to use these because they're nice and clean and don't leave residue or anything else like that. Just generally less fuss. So we've got those shrink together, and now we're going to use another larger piece to actually center the LED onto our little bundle of fiber. So we've got these things sort of nested together for the moment, and we'll just take the heat gun to them again. There we are. You don't want to put too much heat on the fiber because it will melt eventually, but just enough to shrink wrap those things together. So now should be good and stuck together, and they are nicely centered. So you got even light going between the two barrels, and now it's time to just drop it into place. The other LED and the connector should slip right through that large hole that we put in the base, and now we just attach the battery from the bottom side and give it one more test to make sure that everything is still working. Right, just super easy. Clip that in, and let's see. Looks like we are still in business. Get all those wires under there. And that pretty well seals the deal. I'll put some links to the Kickstarter and their product page in the description below. Go check those out, and thank you again for watching. Please tune in for future episodes, and as always, happy wargaming.